All right, Bears fans, what happened to DJ Moore? 1 year, he's the engine of the offense. The next, he's basically a ghost. Has he hit the downside of his career already? Or is this the scheme burying a superstar? Because right now, wide receiver 1 looks more like wide receiver gone. We discussed that and more. I'm Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. Joining me tonight is my good friend and co-host, Justin Oniemi. This is the Halas Huddle, where we don't accept mediocrity any longer.
We love the support from the huddlers. Please like, subscribe, and of course comment, because you can win stuff here on the Halas Huddle. Couple episodes back, it was myself and Bob Weiss. We asked you guys to put FGB in the comments, and a winner was selected. So In Cage 79 was our winner. Yay! We'll be reaching out to you to get you your Halas Huddle swag. So, hey, keep following us. You might win some swag someday yourself. What do you got, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I've been gone for a while, so thank you guys for filling in.
True.
This has been a long. I feel like I haven't been here.
We
I'm
gave
pissed
stuff away without your permission too. So
well, and that's completely okay, and we should be giving away more.
that's
Honestly,
right.
this team has been fantastic. They already have as many wins as I thought they were going to have for the season, so they could end the year right now, and I would look like a genius. But, expectations change, and we need to see them get to that 11 wins that Bob wanted, and maybe have a chance at making the playoffs. I'm pissed off that I'm coming back after a loss, especially to the freaking Green Bay Packers. Congratulations to Luther Burden for choking out Nixon, because that's exactly what I want to do every time I see and engage with the Packers fan. Every time. And not get a flag, too, by the way. That's amazing.
That was true.
So let's talk that game, unless you have something else.
Yeah, well, winning puts us in a giving mood, but winning comes with adjusting the way you watch a game. And I know I see right there our first topic. Why don't we get into it? There are people, they're not on this show, at least it's not me, so I'll hear from you in a second, who feel like the Bears, I mean, it was devastating, like you said, to lose that game. But some people were pointing at mismanagement of the clock down the final stretch, and I could not disagree more. It was very clear by the way they went about their business, especially leading up to and then even coming out of the 2-minute warning with a run play, that the idea was, let's milk the clock. We know we can score. I mean, position on the field was not an issue. You're one of the best teams in the league in explosive plays, and in this particular half of football, you were gashing them for 7, 8, 9-yard runs. There was plenty of time. They still had 2 timeouts when everything was said and done. Not to mention, the last play of the game was intercepted where, Rob?
In the end zone.
In the end zone. So it wasn't like they didn't get to where they were trying to get to. They just made a bad play at the end. It had nothing to do with time. Had that been caught, well, it would have had to be a better throw. But had it been completed, had the Bears gone for 2, we don't know. We think they would have. The Packers would be getting the ball with like 20 seconds trailing. That was the idea. Ben
Johnson made it seem like they were planning on going for 2 and go for the win. Like, accept the fact that they were going to lose, but also just go for the win. And I honestly kind of like that mentality. I mean, it obviously would have sucked if they lost and didn't go to overtime, but like you came out so flat on offense in this game. You just came out so flat. And the second half was just a completely different animal. Caleb Williams just kind of settled in finally. The offense, look, I don't know what was going on with the field, but guys were slipping and falling everywhere as far as the receivers go. But to your point, on this particular drive, I am right there with you. I thought they were making the right decision. They had 27 seconds left, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 27 seconds left, got all the way down to the 14-yard line. That's plenty of time to get yourself into the end zone, right? My bigger issue, and I didn't get to talk about it because I wasn't on the reaction episode. That play, the way things were going. First of all, my bigger issue is the people that are out on social media, and maybe not necessarily the clock management, but trying to say that DJ Moore was wide open. DJ Moore doesn't come wide open until Caleb Williams has already released the football. Now, had he maybe held on to it a little bit longer, time to throw is a problem though. Had he held on to it maybe a little bit longer, he could have seen that DJ Moore was coming open. But in reality, he needed to see Cole Kmet sooner and throw the ball faster, right? Like throw the ball quicker. He didn't make that decision right away. Kmet wasn't even the first read. It was clearly Swift. Then I think the run. Kmet was 3. DJ Moore was a distant 4.
Which will be a great segue into our next one. But real quick, as far as time management, it did not feel like last year on Thanksgiving, what we were watching, with the clock just going and casual fans being like, aren't you supposed to stop the clock with a timeout? I mean, that's bad clock management. This is strategy, and it was a good strategy.
And they ran the ball on 3rd down and got no yards. And that to me actually was what set things apart the most, right? Like everyone's talking about that 4th down play and the interception. Look, it's 4th down. What are you going to do? If you're not getting the first, you might as well do something, right? Like the interception really means nothing at that point in the game. I know it looks bad on the stat sheet when you look at it at the end of the day, at the end of the year, but at that moment, it meant nothing because it was going to be a turnover and downs anyway. But my bigger issue was the 3rd down play, not being able to get that 1st down right there. I don't know. I felt like you should have just ran the ball again. If you're going to question anything, maybe that's what you question.
I mean, that stop on 3rd and 1 was probably the first time in the whole second half that they stopped you running it. So can they do it 2 times in a row? Most likely not. Right. I was disappointed in that. But the longer I had to think about it, the play worked.
Yes.
I mean, Kmet was open and had a better ball been thrown. I agree with you. Had he thrown it earlier, it looked like just lead him to the corner. And it would have been a touchdown, and we wouldn't be complaining about them not running. We'd be saying, wow, when they thought you'd run, you ran play action. Not only did you run play action, you ran a boot, and they sent like 4 or 5 guys after Williams because they did not want him to run for that 1st down. So I think the design of the play was fine. DJ Moore being your 4th option, though, that's concerning to me. When everything's on the line, he's your highest paid receiver. Shouldn't he be involved more?
You would think so, but here's the thing, and to your point, like that's a scheme thing. They're clearly trying to get the ball in his hands at times, right? I know you guys talked about it on the episode. He had 3 targets, 1 catch, -4 yards. The 1 catch that he had was the wide receiver, basically bubble screen that just got blown up.
I thought that was one of the ones he didn't catch.
Oh, he dropped that one? For some reason, I thought that was the one that he did catch.
And I think his other target was like when Williams fell down and then got back up and threw it to the corner of the end zone. It wasn't even catchable.
Right.
Like I know that's got to be one of 3. Then the one he caught for negative yardage, and I believe it was the other one where he got blown up. So it's like none of those are good. The first one, he must have had 4. I saw he was credited with 3 targets, unless one of those throwaways was so far they didn't say he was the intended receiver.
Yeah.
But
overall for the year, I mean, this is where he's at. He's got 66 targets on the year.
It's not enough.
Isn't awful, right? I mean, you still got 4 games left, but you figure the way things are going, you're not even going to get to 90 targets. Like that's not wide receiver 1 territory. But 39 catches and 500 yards and 3 touchdowns, like a 59.1% catch rate. Like this is just, it's clearly a schematic thing, but at the same time, we've talked about it at the beginning of the year. Is it a DJ Moore, Caleb Williams not having that chemistry? Or do they just not get along? I don't know what it is, but they need to figure it out because look, they're on the hook for like 20+ million per year in base salary for the next 3 more years. So, I mean, what are you going to do with that?
And you have Roma Dunze, and you drafted Luther Burden. So it's like the idea that maybe you'd want to move on from him is logical, but what's illogical is you can't cut him. And how would you possibly trade someone at that AAV with this statistical line? So basically, he's on the team. I mean, you have to find a way to use him much, much better than you are. You said 66 targets and tried to kind of maybe explain it. No. That comes out to 5 per game. He should be having 5 catches per game. And if he needs 10 targets to get to that, then that's what he should be getting per game. And I think what you could also say is that Olamide Zacchaeus only has 9 fewer than that. And he started as your wide receiver 3. He's clearly now your wide receiver 4. And I believe he missed a game or 2. Well, he missed 1 at least, I think. So DJ Moore shouldn't be neck and neck with Zacchaeus for targets. Now, the leader of the team, I believe, is Odunze, and that's even with missing a game. This Packers game, you had no Odunze. And Ben Johnson comes out and says, yeah, schematically, we intended to get him the ball. We really did want to get him some targets, which goes to your point of, do him and Caleb just not have that chemistry? Had this been last year with Moore and his facial expressions, I mean, there hasn't been too much of that. I think winning keeps that away. Yeah. He's been nominated as Walter Payton Man of the Year. I know that's for somewhat of your like charitable work off the field, but I think it's also how you're carrying yourself and conducting yourself. But I'm nervous, man.
So what's interesting is it's not that he isn't getting open either. So looking at next gen stats, this is something that I found very interesting, and I wanted to bring it up. Luther Burden is literally number 3 in the NFL in separation. Wow. Okay. That is actually number 1 amongst wide receivers. Okay. It's 2 tight ends that are ahead of him in Evan Ingram and Noah Fant. Okay. So Luther Burden, number 1 in separation. Number 2 on the team. Okay. I'm not talking 2 in the NFL. Number 2 on the team is actually a tie between Colston Loveland and DJ Moore. So it's not like he isn't getting open. He's finding areas and getting separation, which is something, to be honest, I never really considered him a separation type of guy. Like, he was always the guy who just got a little bit, like, enough of separation, put his body in the right spot, and the ball, he was able to just kind of block guys out and make good catches. Not a contested catch guy, but just being able to get himself in position and make those catches.
And get yak.
And look, we're seeing it throughout the whole team. You saw it with the Luther Burden going across the middle and settling down in zone. And Caleb Williams leading him, but then Luther Burden stopped. So like, there's still disconnect on this team. I can't wait. And I know we're talking 2025 and they're still in this and they went from 1st to 7th after 1 game. I am really looking forward to see how this team develops on offense in 2026. It just seems like it's going to have to just blow up even more.
Agreed. Something I just want to quickly comment on. You mentioned tight ends in the separation. Tight ends are getting separation being guarded by linebackers. Whereas if you're a receiver, you're going against shifty corners, nickel corners. So I think Burden's is a little more impressive. I'm not trying to take away from those 2 tight ends that are above him, Ingram and who'd you say? Second one?
Noah Fant.
And Fant. Okay. So pretty cool, though, that Burden is, as a rookie, already standing out in that way. So
that's right.
I know we both have a surprise for each other on this episode.
I do. So I know you're not a big Marvel guy, but there's a show out there called What If, where they take situations, Marvel stories, and they're like, well, what if? And then they like change things up. And it's like, what if this guy was Captain America instead of this guy? And how would that change up the whole storyline? Well, congratulations to Bill Zimmerman, formerly of Bear Goggles On, by the way. I got to give some shout out to that, who's now with Windy City Gridiron. He wrote an article that came out today, and it is a must read. I will put the link in the description so you can find it easily. But it is a must read, and it is a fan fiction. Okay, it is a fan fiction of what if Ryan Poles decided to go after the Hall and kept Justin Fields. Justin Fields truthers, are you guys still out there? Look, I was a huge Justin Fields defender for years, but if you recall, I was also out there saying there's very little reason to hold on to Fields and not take Caleb Williams. Like, Caleb Williams was that guy. You had to go get him. Many people thought the Hall was the answer. So Bill Zimmerman went out and he wrote this fan fiction, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, so please go read the article, but it goes into the fact of, look, you have to go pay Justin Fields. So what's that extension going to look like? How does that impact your off seasons for the next couple of years and who you can bring in free agency, right? I'm just going to pinpoint some of the key things that are different here. Okay. Here's the key things.
Sorry to interrupt, but does he talk about what the haul would have been?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. And it's realistic. Okay. Because some people were thinking, oh, we can, trade down one spot and you're still going to get all of this. No, that's not realistic, right? Like the teams that were there were two other quarterbacks that they were probably okay with getting. First of all, Drake May being one of them with New England, they are just fine. Jaden Daniels being the other one, right? Kyler Murray being mentioned as still thought of being that quarterback at that time in Arizona. So they were not going to move on from him. And Justin Herbert, I believe, if I recall, the Chargers had the 5th pick in the draft, and they obviously weren't going anywhere with Justin Herbert, and they got Joe Alt. So thinking you were going to walk away with Joe Alt and Marvin Harrison and the fan fiction of not reality, he didn't do that, right? Like he actually broke this down and looked at the realistic option. So what happened was you moved down to 6 with the New York Giants. You knew the Giants wanted a quarterback. They were trying to move up either for Drake May or Jaden Daniels. Didn't happen, right? So they moved up. Chicago moves to 6. So now you have 6 and
Justin Fields.
And Justin Fields, right? So they ended up taking, oh gosh, why can't I remember who they took now? Oh, Malik Neighbors. No, I'm sorry. They didn't take Malik Neighbors. They took Rome Odunze because they didn't like Malik Neighbors, right? So they took Rome Odunze. So you still end up with the receiver that you already have. Malik Neighbors goes on to Tennessee. Some other key things that happen. Look, the 2024 season, he plays out seasons, right? Starts out bumpy. There's some, Justin Fields gets hurt. Tyson Bagent gets some playing time. Things aren't great. Both Eberflus and Ryan Poles get fired. Okay, so now you're moving on to the 2025 season. Okay, now what's going to happen? Well, they got to bring in a GM. They got to bring in coach. So he goes out and gets Ray Agnew, which is somebody who Kevin Warren has connections with from when they were both with the Rams. Ben Johnson, even though the connection with Agnew doesn't come to Chicago because, look, you're not feeling too confident with a quarterback who hasn't shown you enough, right? So he's going to hold out for a better position. He doesn't come to Chicago. Who do they settle on? Brian Flores. Such a Chicago Bears move, right? Okay. So Justin Fields, you got Rome Odunze at 6. You got Ashanu, okay, from Penn State, who was a left tackle candidate that we had talked about and thought about going after, who they took at 9, okay? So again, seems pretty good from a talent level perspective. Things just aren't working out enough. Then you go into 2025. Who do they draft? Or, I'm sorry, you go into 2026. Who do they draft? They took, I'm sorry. Also on top of this, they go and get Jacoby Brissett for 2026 because they weren't feeling great. So now you got Brissett, you got Fields, Tyson Bagent in 2025. Okay. 2026, they draft a quarterback. They go after Dante Moore out of Oregon. Okay. I don't know if he's going to amount to anything. I have not done I just started my draft prep literally today. Okay. I have an article coming out from Bear Goggles on over the next couple of days. You're not getting as much out of this. They ended up with Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, who I loved coming out in the draft. Didn't do anything for Pittsburgh. That was another one that they ended up getting in the draft. Look, I don't want to go through everything because I want you to go out and read the article. It's a great article. But in the end, the way things are going, it just sounds like had they done this move, it's the same old Bears. You get the coach that doesn't work out. He doesn't want to develop a quarterback. He goes out and gets, a veteran. The whole situation is just reminiscent of what we have seen in years past. And I don't see how, unless Justin Fields flipped the switch, which we have not seen because he didn't do it with Pittsburgh. He didn't do it with the Jets. Nothing about those people out there, and you don't hear from them as much anymore, but there are still some truthers out there. Nothing makes me think that going after Justin Fields or keeping Justin Fields and going after the Hall would have been the right decision. Nothing. And reading this article makes me think that even more. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounded like a craptastic reality. You had the number 1 pick and traded it and got the Hall when it was an opportunity to take Bryce Young. And then you didn't know you were going to get the number 1 in return for that, and you did. So it's not just like you get the 1 and you think, oh, the best value of the number 1 pick is always to trade it away and collect more assets. No, it matters who was there. And I don't know if they would have been happy with Jaden Daniels or Drake May, or if they just flat out were like, Caleb Williams, our dude. But that draft class, I think, is going to show you that that's a special quarterback draft class. Not that you just say, hey, get the Hall and keep Justin Fields because maybe he'll turn into something. Like you said, he's had 2 other opportunities. And basically, I think it's okay to say this, has failed at both. With Pittsburgh, with the Jets, I imagine with the fake Bears, it would have been the same. So I'm perfectly happy with the decision they went. Nothing about that article changes my mind. In fact, it reinforces it. So. All right. How about my surprise for you?
I'm excited.
All right. It's a This Just In. I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. So we're going to play the game start, bench, cut for quarterbacks. And it's on one key statistic. So really, I'm only going to give you one stat to make your decision on, which is me manipulating you. There's, of course, some nuance that I will not yet give you, but you're going to choose between player A, player B, player C. Huddlers, feel free to play at home.
Yeah, in the comment section.
And comment about it. Who would you start? Who would you bench? Who would you cut? The statistic we're looking at is completion percentage. Player A, and this is through 2 years, their first 2 years in the league. Not totally true, but I'll get back to that. Player A in year 1 was 60.8% completion, and it was on 526 attempts. So it was a full season. And in year 2, he went down to 57.6%. That's player A. Player B, 53.3% in year 1, real low, on 377 attempts, and then 59.4%. But it was actually, he only played 3 games, so I'll talk about that later. But both sub 60. Or player C, 62.5% completion on 562 attempts, quite a lot. And then the following year, 57.8%, so went down. Who do you got?
All right, so I'm going to start. Knowing that I'm going to start player A. I'm going to bench player B. I'm going to give him a chance here with those only 3 games. I'm like, that's kind of standing out to me here. Like,
but the full season was 53.3%, the lowest by far of any of these.
Oh, it was 53.3? I'm sorry. I thought you said 59.3.
53.3 in year 1.
All right. Let's flip that. I'm going to cut player B, and I'm going to bench player C. I have no idea where this is.
Sorry to influence you like that, but on the limited amount of data I gave you, you shouldn't possibly think B is the answer.
Yeah.
All right. You want to know who these people are? So you started A, benched C, and cut B.
Yeah. One of them I think is Josh Allen.
No.
Damn.
No. All right. Player A, who you started, and I probably, if I was looking at these numbers, I would start player C, I would bench player A, and I would cut player B. So we both cut player B. We just switched who we had started and who we benched. So player A, who you started, is Drew Brees, Hall of Famer. But my point was he was 60.8 in his first year, 57.6 in his second season. And, he ends up going on to have one of the highest completion rates of anyone ever, I think. I don't know if he actually holds that. But he never after that was below 63.0. And the season he went 63.0 was his 2012 season. It was on 670 attempts, 5,177 yards, and 43 touchdowns. So I think we'll excuse the slightly lower percentage.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you want to know next? The disaster player B, who we both cut?
Yeah, let's wait for player B.
Oh, wait on B?
Wait on
All
B.
right. Player C, who I started, who you benched, is Caleb Williams.
Okay.
62.5 his rookie year, and through the 13 games he's played up to this point, 57.8. Funny enough, the Breeze number, which was 57.6, just a little lower than where Williams is, was only in 11 games.
Okay.
So pretty even, actually. And player B, that's Matthew Stafford, my man, who darn well might be the MVP this year. Here's what you need to know about Matthew Stafford, and here's the nuance if people are going to say I cherry-picked. Technically, those 2 seasons I told you for Drew Brees are his year 2 and year 3. He basically didn't play his rookie year.
Right.
Which means he probably should have even slightly higher numbers, I would think, because you know the offense, you've at least been in meetings, things like that. Now, the interesting thing, though, Matthew Stafford, his second season barely played. His third season, he was up to 63.5. But then he went down again the next 2 seasons below 60, 59.8, 58.5. I know there's a lot of numbers, but sub 60, guys, for Stafford. Now, then he turns it around and becomes a consistent plus 60 type of guy. And for his career, he's 63.5, just so you know. So Caleb's rookie year was 62.5. He's lower this year. And I want to kind of talk about that because even in this game, he started out 1 for 7 in this game, and it wasn't even close. I'm talking about the Packers game. Mm-hmm. He ends up, I don't remember exactly. I should have had it ready to go. I'm sorry. He ends up 19 for 35, which comes out to 54%. But I heard that his adjusted true accuracy number was actually 75%. They factor in throwaways, and they factor in, I think, drops. Well, here's the thing, guys. He was sacked 68 times last year. He's gotten that number tremendously down. 20. But that means he's throwing the ball away.
He's thrown away. He leads the league in throwaways.
Okay, 28. There you go. I didn't know that. But that's a good thing, but that's going to hurt your percentage. I also feel, like you said, there's still not a familiarity with the receivers in terms of, hey, are you stopping? Are you going? We're not seeing that. But I imagine you keep getting coached by Ben Johnson. I don't care which assistants go, because you know what? We might lose some assistants, but that's what happens to good teams. But you're going to have the main guy. You're going to have the architect for year after year after year working with Caleb Williams. I don't think we're looking at his number is going to go down. I mean, I know they said 70%. That seemed very lofty. And when you look at the numbers now, there's no chance in heck he's going to hit that. But if he can even get back to his rookie number, that's around what Matthew Stafford's career completion percentage has been. So you got a Hall of Famer. You got possibly this year's league MVP. And by the way, Matthew Stafford is not some random dude. This is the guy that Caleb Williams says is the quarterback he likes to most emulate and thought, you know, his game could be like his. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not loving the percentage I see with Caleb Williams, but overall, I like the direction he's headed. And I like that for the next 2, 3, 4, maybe 8 years, it's going to be him and Ben Johnson trying to figure this thing out.
So I just want to touch on this a little bit because I don't think it's anything that we need to talk on like horribly long, but I think Ben Johnson kind of ruined the fans and the analysts' perspective when he said 70% completion percentage. Let me just throw this out there. There are only 3 quarterbacks right now in the NFL that have a 70% or greater completion percentage. Drake May, who is having a phenomenal season, but also has one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. Jared Goff is number 2, who used to be with Ben Johnson and did not have a very good completion percentage prior to Ben Johnson getting there. And then Josh Allen. Okay. If you want to round up Mac Jones, who didn't even play a full set, it was at 69.6. Dak Prescott comes in next 5 at 69. Like the 70% mark was a number that never should have been like thought was truly achievable consistently.
This year.
Right. Especially this year in the first part of a system. Let's talk about the fact that, look, Caleb Williams is not wearing the armband like he did last year that had the play calling sheets on it, right? You are seeing him make his checks pre-snap. You're seeing him make his audibles, his can, right? You're seeing
Play
him
under center.
Play out of under center, something that he's not familiar with doing.
More than any quarterback in the league.
Right. There are so many things that he is learning. He changed up his step, right? So he's stepping back with the opposite lead foot, something that Justin Fields couldn't handle. These are things that we're seeing. I don't expect him to ever need to be at 70%. What I do expect, though, is somewhere between 62 and 65. That, to me, is perfect situation, especially for a guy who plays hero ball and throws passes like he did to Olamide Zaccheaus in the end zone, right? That ball was a dart. A dart. How about the one that he threw to Komet on the sideline? Like, I mean, those types of plays are plays that you don't see many quarterbacks make, and that's what sets him apart from the rest of the league. You heard Mike Greenberg, whose wife is a Chicago Bears fan. He's a New York Jets fan. Look, he has come out and said, I don't understand why everyone's making such a big deal out of this percentage. Well, the reason is because Ben Johnson put it in people's minds. Shame on him for doing it. But he's doing a good job coaching. You're seeing much growth. You talked about the sack numbers coming down. As soon as he figures out how to get his early timing on, because that's what it is. I want to say, and I could be saying this wrong, I want to say in the second half, he was 16 for 20. Like, I don't know why, but that number is sticking out in my head. Like 16 for 20, 100 and some yards,
right. I think
and
he
two
was
touchdowns.
14 or something for 15 at half. So
yeah, I mean, like, it's absolutely ridiculous that we're so hung up on this. This is not what sets him apart. You're seeing a superstar in the making, and as long as he keeps that trajectory going, like right now, he's a good quarterback. He's easily a top 15 quarterback in the NFL right now. He could be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL if he can start putting these things together in a way. And I know we've talked about it for years, how Justin Fields compared to Josh Allen, right? We kept trying to make that work because that's what we do. And it was nonsense if you go back and look at it. And I feel stupid for trying to do it. When you look at Josh Allen compared to Caleb Williams, though, especially from a completion percentage and the way that those two guys sling the rock, like those deep balls that just don't connect. Eventually,
that's what I was just looking at now. Those are the things. You thought player B was Josh Allen because he was 52.8 his rookie year. Now, here's the thing, though. He went up to 58.8. That's a big climb. Then 69.2, and then, I mean, over 70% to your point this year. His career is 63.9.
Yeah.
So like you said, if you can get between 62 and 65, hey, that's pretty darn good. Another thing, and then we'll move on. He's not completing the deep ball. I don't think that's something that's going to plague him his whole career. He's got the arm. He's got the weapons. At least now he does, and I assume that'll continue to be a thing. I see Caleb Williams improving in this area, just like we saw out of Drew Brees, just like we saw out of Matthew Stafford, and I'm sure many, many, many others. I just picked 2 guys that I thought were intriguing and fun to talk about.
Awesome. All right, let's move on.
All right, this is it, man.
We're going to try to do Bob justice.
All right, I'll go first. We're going to go back and forth on this. Entering week 15, here are our NFC North power rankings. Although they did have a strong performance last week, Minnesota Vikings have dug themselves too far down, and the 3 teams above them are 3 of the better teams in the whole conference. So, although they had a nice game, Vikings are still in the cellar in the NFC North and might not even have a winning season ahead of them.
Next up, they stay in the same spot that they did before. It's the Detroit Lions. Okay, they had a nice win over the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have rebounded a little bit this season. The Lions ended up winning 44-30 in what looks basically a shootout. Jamar Gibbs had one hell of a day. Again, like always. But here's the thing. I'm not afraid of them. I'm still putting the Chicago Bears ahead of them. They're too inconsistent. And they might actually be like 2A and 2B in this situation, but based on record. based on the fact that the Bears also beat the Cowboys, and based on the fact that the Packers tied the Cowboys, we're just going to put Jared Goff, Gibbs, that team right there in spot number 3.
All right. Like you said, they're above the Lions, but unfortunately, at number 2, I have to still place the Chicago Bears. They had their opportunity to take a swing at who we said was the number 1 team in the NFC North, being the Packers, but the Bears did not play a complete game. The second half looked good and really sets the stage now for a rematch just 1 week away. But you had your chance to go and take the NFC North throne for the week, but you could not complete it. So unfortunately, the Bears still come in at number 2.
And remaining in the number 1 spot and the number 1 in the NFC, it pains me
NFC
to
North.
call the number 1 team in the NFC North the Green Bay Packers. Okay? But what I will say is that the Chicago Bears proved that they deserve to be in the conversation. Because here's the thing. For all of you Packer fans out there that catch this, especially on our shorts, all the Packer fans that are out there are saying, who did the Bears beat? The Packers have lost to the Browns. The Packers have lost to the Panthers. The Packers tied with the Cowboys. Like, get the F out of here. You want to say that the Bears Super Bowl has been every week? The Packers were celebrating just as much beating the Bears this past week as what you have seen the Bears do all season. Winning is fun. We are having fun. We do not expect the Bears to be a Super Bowl contender, but I do want them to make the playoffs now. The only positive I'm going to say right now is that Jordan Love is better than I give him credit for. And it also pains me to say that because fuck Green Bay, fuck Jordan Love. I hope you fall from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 over the next couple weeks and go Denver Broncos.
Yeah, this week is big. If lots of ifs here, but if the Packers lose to Denver, which is plausible, and if the Bears win at home against Cleveland, then the rematch can be an opportunity for the Bears not only to just beat the Packers, but take the number 1 spot back in the NFC North lead. So we'll hold out for that. I don't know.
I mean, the Bears need to go at least 2-2. If they go 3-1, they're guaranteed a playoff spot. I mean, that's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Not technically, but
not technically. They can still do it with 2-2. They can honestly still do it at 1-2. But
I'm saying at 3-1, they could still be out.
It's almost
that'd be
almost
very
impossible.
Almost hard to imagine. So
yes.
Well, and I know people want to say the schedule, things like that. The Bears have their destiny in their own hands because you're playing the teams that you also need to lose. Yep. Whether that's San Francisco, if you're battling them for the wild card, or Green Bay, or the Lions, if you're battling them for the division and the wild card, you want to play the teams you're going to fight up against. Go ahead and beat them.
I will say, though, for all those people who say, who have they beat? Amongst playoff teams, the Bears have the best winning percentage. Okay, I'm sorry, the 3rd best winning percentage. Okay, the Rams, I think, were number 1. Seahawks were number 2, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly. So congrats to you guys for doing what you need to do. This game, do not overlook the Cleveland Browns. I don't care about Shedeur Sanders, whatever. My concern is Myles Garrett. This game is going to be very, very cold. -10 is what they're saying it's going to probably feel like, between -10 and -20 with the wind chill. Very, very cold. I'm not expecting a lot of offense. I'm very nervous about the defense. I'm very nervous about Myles Garrett. Just go out and win the game. I think Clay Harbor said it. I don't care if it's a 7-6 win. Go win the game.
I think they intercept Shedeur Sanders at least twice.
They better blitz him because he's not good against the blitz.
I somehow feel that Kevin Byard will pick him off once. And I don't know who the other one will be. Not sure who will be playing.
It won't be Kyler Gordon.
That kind of thing. It won't be Kyler Gordon, no. But
maybe Jalen Johnson finally shows up. Bob called him out last week, and that's what we do on this show. We call out the good players. We're done with the mediocrity, guys. It's time. It is our time right now. Go Bears. Fuck the Packers.
So I had a this just in, so you had to get your Rob rant in. So
that's right.
Well done, sir. Well done. All right, I got nothing else.
I don't either. Bear down, guys. Claws up. Let's go.
Ready, break.